This is the best video I've ever made. Oh my god.
There's different types of momentum formulas.
No, there isn't.
Actually, one.
There's one. Even I know this. And I took physics 20 years ago, man. What the hell?
It's in my math class. We don't use momentum for vehicle to vehicle. The math, the crash reconstruction classes I have taken.
Got it.
And it was beautiful. This is one of the most beautiful interactions between lawyer and dumbass witness that I've ever seen. Ever. This guy is not an expert. He's beyond not an expert. He is the definition of a layperson pretending to be an expert. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Buckle Up. It's the law, folks. Earlier today, we did Paul Gallagher. If you've not seen that video, oh my God, you have to go check it out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow, we're going to conclude Paul Gallagher and his infamous, I did not write a report. Yeah, I did an investigation, but I didn't need to memorialize it. I didn't know what was going on. It's just a dead body. Dead bodies happen all the time. I don't really care. I had Lank do all the bidding for me. But now it's time to change gears and talk about Trooper Paul. Trooper Paul from trial number 1. We're going to finish his testimony today, right here, right now. Let's go!
On June 9th, 2022, you were asked by a grand jury whether you knew or had done any scientific testing to determine the distance a body would actually travel if struck by a vehicle. Remember that?
Not that specifically. Not in that way.
Do you remember answering that you had not, I'm just paraphrasing, that you had not done all you hadn't finished your report yet?
Why don't you show him? He said he didn't remember it that way.
Take a look at middle of the page. Your answer starts at about line 12, but the question above it is probably informative. You were asked, does that remind you that you were asked by a grand jury if you could calculate how far a body would move having been struck by a vehicle?
Yes.
And you indicated, quote, yeah, there's certain calculations we can do with that. Would figure out if you, say if the car backed up, hit somebody, and then they go a certain amount of distance, and it's based on miles per hour, the speed of the vehicle, the striking vehicle, and stuff.
And
Remember
stuff.
saying that?
Yes.
What did you mean by stuff?
I don't know.
You said that the calculations would be based on miles per hour and stuff. Did you ever do any stuff
I can't.
to
I
test
can't.
the grand jury's question?
I can't.
No, we cannot calculate anything from this collision.
Say that one more time.
We cannot calculate anything from this collision.
Who's we?
Me, the role me.
Well, you know John O'Keefe's weight, right?
What's that?
You know John O'Keefe's weight, 217 pounds, right?
Yes.
Did you know that?
I don't know his weight, no.
Oh my God.
You know the weight of the vehicle?
Yes.
What's the weight of the vehicle? Gross weight.
What's the gross weight?
Yeah.
I think it's approximately 7,300 pounds.
Okay. Were you able to calculate the mass of the vehicle?
I did not calculate the mass of the vehicle.
Well, you told the grand jury that you were planning on doing that kind of stuff to calculate how far a person would travel being struck at that speed with a car of that weight. You didn't do those calculations?
No, because the calculations would vastly underestimate the speed of the vehicle.
The what?
You testified, again, my report isn't done yet. I'm going to look into it. I'm looking into all that stuff, end quote, correct?
Yes.
There's that word again. It's been more than 2 years since that statement at the grand jury. Is your report finished?
Yes, it is.
Did you engage in any of those calculations?
I looked into it. This type of collision I would not be able to use the formulas for this type of collision.
Well, let's talk about those formulas. How would you calculate how far a
What?
body at rest would travel after being struck by an object in
Hold on a
motion.
second.
Aren't
I
you
have
calc-
I have to comment on this. I can't let this go. Not like this, folks. You testified at the grand jury. You lied to them. You said, "I am going to do calculations and stuff to make sure that, like, you know, when this actually gets before a real jury, like, oh shoot, like I'm testifying right now. Oopsie daisy." That I will do all my calculations and stuff to calculate the mass of the vehicle, the weight of the vehicle, weight and mass of John O'Keefe's body, the impact trajectory, the flight of John O'Keefe's body, I guess, when he was still alive, his that trajectory, the impact, that damage that it would do to his body, the impact that damage it would do to the vehicle. None of that was done because the stuff was completely irrelevant because the murderer is sitting in the courtroom, Brian Albert. Ridiculous, folks. Absolutely ridiculous. I think when he finally testifies, when Trooper Paul finally testifies, we may go back to this series very briefly, not like doing it like this because we have 5 episodes. This is the final episode. We're going to conclude his cross-examination and the recross. It's very short. It's about 6 minutes. So we're going to do both of those today. And I made a decision, actually. I just wanted to tell you all. Brian Albert, his testimony from the previous trial, I'm going to save. I'm going to save for a little bit. Instead, I'm going to give you guys witnesses from trial number 2. We're going to start stacking them because we have a lot to cover. What I want to do is I want to continue premiering 3 videos a day, 1 p.m. short, 4 p.m. new trial video, and 7 p.m. new trial video. That's what we're going to do for a little bit, probably. Because I'm done with trial number 1, save for Brian Albert. And when Brian Albert actually takes the witness stand, that's when I'm going to premiere Brian Albert trial number 1 in my vault. So be on the lookout for that when he finally testifies, which will probably be in a couple weeks. So it's not that far away. It'll be either May or June for certain, 100%. He's going to testify over the next 30 days, I would say, at some point. And it's up to Hank Brennan to decide and determine when he's going to call him. If you noticed, Hank is very willy-nilly about his witnesses. He calls a firefighter, then he calls a cop, then he calls Jennifer McCabe, like a lay witness, the mastermind, to make sure to lay the groundwork and the foundation. Then before that, he calls Kerry Roberts, Jen McCabe's mouthpiece, and then he randomly just calls the meteorologist, and then he's back to another trooper. Let's talk about the shoes. Like, he's so disjointed because he's trying to confuse the jury. And believe me when I say this, the jury is picking up on everything. Like, why are we doing this in such a disjointed order? Oh, because I'm trying to confuse them. Oh, so that's why. Okay.
In pedestrian collisions, I use a Searle formula, Searle-Throw formula.
A what formula?
Searle.
What does that mean?
It's a type of formula that we use for a calculation of post-impact
So
or
that's-
speeds for pedestrians.
that includes certain principles of physics to calculate that, right?
Did you do that?
What do you mean?
I'm sorry?
What do you mean by certain forms of physics?
There would be physics calculations that would be required to figure out how far a body at rest would move, having been struck by an object in motion.
Right.
That's a basic principle of.
Yeah, I guess you could say though.
I guess you could say that.
Can you describe for the jurors exactly what calculations you would need?
You know, because you and I both know, chat, is, physics is malleable. I mean, it changes every day. And I know some of you are going to be like, well, Larry, actually it does. You know, you got quantum physics and quantum mechanics, and they do find things that are malleable and they change. We're not dealing with atomic level physics here. We're not dealing with Schrodinger's physics. You know, it's both alive and dead at the same time. We're not dealing with quantum mechanics on an atomic level. We're dealing with basic physics that have existed for almost 400 years, unchanged. Isaac Newton, an object in motion is going to stay in motion unless acted upon by another object. Force equals mass times acceleration, if memory serves. Please correct me in the chat, in the comments. I'm literally going off memory right now. I just remember this from college. You know, for me, that was 2006. I remember in 2006 learning about F equals ma. It's something I'll never forget. Force equals mass times acceleration. And this guy's like, well, it varies. Physics, changes. Physics hasn't changed since like 1653 when Isaac Newton made his discovery, whenever that was. It was like 1650s or 1660s. Look it up. Correct me. Give me the exact date in the comments below. And while you do that, if you've ever been injured by a dog bite or a car wreck or a truck wreck or anything similar due to someone else's negligence and you're not at fault, call us. 1-844-774-HURT. Because we know physics, we understand physics, and we recover millions of dollars for our clients, and we want to recover money for you as well. Oh my God. This guy is incorrigible. Physics changes. What type of physics are you referring to? Because there's just so many different kinds. The stupidity, the incompetence, no. I can't say that. The criminality is unmatched. These guys are criminals. Criminals. They're committing crimes against society, crimes against the people, and crimes against Karen Read. Let's keep going.
To employ to determine how far a body at rest would travel, having been struck by an object in motion.
So, in this scenario, in this collision, it's more of a side swipe. So he did not sustain.
A side swipe?
He did not.
Wait,
get
whoa.
enough-
Hold up. If it was a side swipe, how would he fly through the air, 10, 12, 15 feet? If it was just side swipe, wouldn't he just like kind of spin in place then? Mr. Physics? Mr. Different Kinds of Physics? Hello?
Speed of the vehicle, post impact with the vehicle to BL calculations. His center of mass was offset from the vehicle. So we would vastly underestimate his speed. So that's why I did not do a formula. If he was more in line with behind the vehicle, he would have been projected forward, and using that projection forward, he would have been able to get more closer to the actual speed of the vehicle during that post-impact travels.
Well, that presumes a couple of things, Trooper Paul. That presumes that he was quote unquote sideswiped, right?
Presumed?
Presumed by you. You didn't see how he was hit, did you?
Based on the evidence, it appeared to be a side swipe.
That's your opinion.
Yes.
That's just reading the evidence.
You're saying that the principles of physics as we know them today in modern mathematics is thwarted by a sideswipe?
Objection.
Oh, that is a great question. The basic concept of physics and mathematics is thwarted because of sideswipe, because we exist outside the realm of physics and mathematics in your scenario.
What you're saying?
The calculations that are out there, you can get a speed, it would just underestimate the speed.
I have secondhand
You
embarrassment
would
for
have
this
to
guy.
know what the initial momentum of the object is that's in motion, correct?
Of what object?
Oh my God, the car!
Paul?
I would have to know that speed.
Yeah, you'd have to know what the initial momentum is, not speed, momentum. There's a difference,
Okay.
Oh, pff.
right? Would you agree with that?
No.
No? Wait, you momentum and speed. He's like Amber Heard. I use momentum and speed synonymously. I use donate and pledge synonymously. I use momentum and speed synonymously. Like, oh my God, this is so good.
You wouldn't have to calculate what the initial momentum is of the object in motion to determine the distance of the body at rest would move?
Well, in that sense, are we talking about? I'm trying to find the speed of the vehicle. That's usually what we're trying to do.
Right, okay, well, let's put the speed of the vehicle aside. Let's talk about initial momentum. What's the formula for calculating initial momentum?
I don't know.
There's different types of momentum formulas.
No, there isn't.
Actually, one.
There's one.
Formula is to calculate momentum.
Objection.
Even I know this. And I took physics 20 years ago, man. What the hell?
Sustained.
To calculate momentum, there is a single...
So sustained. Ask it differently.
Isn't it true, Trooper Paul, that there is a singular calculation for determining initial momentum? That is P equals M times V, where P is the momentum. You're solving for that. M is mass. You multiply that by velocity. Is that right? Pretty simple.
You wouldn't use that in a pedestrian collision.
What?
Because the pedestrians somehow magically out of the realm of physics?
Objection.
Sustained.
Is a pedestrian out of the realm of physics and calculations?
No, it's the weight differential between the pedestrian and the vehicle.
So? How is
So-
that relevant?
If the vehicle is too heavy and the body is too light, you can't calculate
Uh-huh.
the initial momentum.
That's what
of
you
the
just
vehicle?
said.
Yes,
What?
Got it. Where'd you learn that?
it's in my math class. We don't use momentum for a vehicle to vehicle.
Math class?
The crash reconstruction classes I have taken.
Got it.
He
you
said he
believe-
called it a math class. He called it a math class. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! I am dying! This is the best video I've ever made. Oh my god.
To apply the theory of conservation of momentum in calculating these data.
Do I need to calculate the conservation of momentum?
Heard of calculation, of conservation of momentum?
Yes.
You even know what that is? There's an equation for that as well, right?
Yes.
You know what that is?
Not off the top of my head, but yes.
Oh god.
Based on the basic principles of physics, is the total momentum of the collision greater or less than the total momentum after the collision? Total momentum before the collision, is it greater or less than the total momentum?
Of course it's gonna
after
be
the
greater.
collision?
Always.
Basic question.
What type of collision?
Oh my god. Doesn't matter.
Triple Paul,
All of them.
they're exactly equal
Yes!
in all respects.
Yes!
Under the principles of physics, right? That's the theory of the conservation of momentum. Momentum doesn't change.
Yes!
It's
Yes.
transferred from one body to another,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
Oh, Triple
say
Paul
that
learned
to
something new
jurors?
today.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Wait, sorry, what did he say? I'm sorry, I'm just so excited. What did he say?
It's
Yes.
transferred from one body to another,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
Why didn't you say that to the jurors?
Yeah.
Objection.
Yeah, why did you say that? He's so unhappy. Oh, you could tell.
Paul-
He looks so defeated. He's like, look, I don't know this stuff. Nobody told me this is gonna be on the exam in court. Like I just did my basic stuff and nobody told me to prepare for this. Like what the hell, man? Let's see if he has read some stuff in trial number 2. I can't wait for Trooper Paul in trial number 2. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video and comment below.
If you were qualified to, quote, look into all this stuff, you would probably know these answers, wouldn't you?
Objection.
Sustained.
It's true.
Are there any other calculations that
Called
you
out.
need to figure out the stuff that you were talking to about
Stuff.
with the grand jury?
Love it.
Objection.
Sustained.
I love it.
How about calculating the final velocity of the objects after the collision? Would that be important?
What objects?
That would be John O'Keefe's body, sir. Object
I don't.
that you claim was flying through the air 30 feet.
Okay,
Objection.
Oh,
sustained.
30 feet. Sorry.
How
30
about
feet.
calculating the displacement using kinematic equations? Would you be able to do that?
The displacement of the body?
In order to calculate how far the body would move based on the mass of the object striking the body, could you use displacement using kinematic equations?
So, like I said before, the side swipe, he would not have gotten 100% of the vehicle, 100% of the speed of the striking vehicle. It would have vastly underestimated this vehicle. You couldn't hit a person and side swipe them, spin them off to the side, and have that and get a speed from those calculations.
So you're saying,
Wait. Okay, so now he admits that the body spun and then flew 30 feet? What on earth is this, man? How is that? That's not physically possible. That's not humanly possible. To Trooper Paul, life is like a video game where characters just get plucked by the user and just placed, and then cars just get boop. Oh, there's a little broken taillight and she drives away. And there's a body and then nobody sees that body because why would they? Because they're the real criminals. But no. They're the innocents. They're the innocents. Unbelievable. Like Jackson asked the right question. Does John O'Keefe's body exist outside the realm of physics? He added the word magically for the jury and then he removed it because Lally objected. And it was beautiful. This is one of the most beautiful interactions between lawyer and dumbass witness that I have ever seen. Ever. This guy is not an expert. He's beyond not an expert. He is the definition of a layperson pretending to be an expert. The textbook definition of, I took a class and I kind of sort of know a couple things and that's about it. But I'm going to testify as if I have full knowledge of how this works. Oh, such a grave mistake by the government, and I'm loving every second. Give me more, please, more.
that the discipline of physics cannot figure out how far John O'Keefe's body would move. But you personally figured out that he would have flown now somewhat, or been projected somewhat 30 feet.
Objection.
Sustained.
But it's
Are you saying
it's
that the
true.
principles of physics are incapable of determining with the proper calculations how far John O'Keefe's body would have moved given the collision at issue?
Objection.
Is that what you're saying, Trooper?
No.
Okay, next question.
Well, you just said because it was a side swipe, all these calculations, these physics calculations are inapplicable, right?
I'm saying it would underestimate the speed and the distance.
The truth is, Trooper Paul, you have no idea what all these physics calculations mean, do you?
Objection.
Sustained.
You've
It's
not been trained in physics formally, have you?
Yes.
You have been,
It's incorporated into the classes.
right? You had a few classes that use the word physics, but you haven't been formally trained in physics, have you?
Objection.
Sustained.
Why?
You haven't been formally trained in kinematics, correct?
It's in the aspects of all
Wait,
our
well
craft.
done. Why is he objecting to the physics, but he's not objecting to the kinematics? What's the difference, Lally? Oh, there is no difference. You're just randomly objecting whenever you don't like the question. Got it. Thank you.
Construction classes.
You haven't been formally trained and hold no degrees in biomechanics, do you?
I do not have a degree in biomechanics.
In fact, basically what you did in this case was calculated emission cycles. And you got those wrong, right?
Objection.
Sustained. Come on, Mr.
Jury heard it.
Jackson. Ask the appropriate part of the question, you'll get it.
Let me ask you this. Based on your reconstruction, nearly 2-year investigation, exactly how was that taillight shattered?
The
Explain
taillight.
it to us.
How does the taillight? What do you? It gets so the taillight in this case was shattered when it was struck John O'Keefe's arm.
Struck.
Exactly what part of his arm?
It, based on what I saw for his injuries, was from the upper part of his arm down.
Was his arm out? And it just struck the arm like a hinge? Was it in front of him? You did the reconstruction?
It looked,
Here's exactly how his body was positioned when he was struck by that.
Good question.
so it looks like his arm was more kind of like this. If I can try to get that.
You're indicating out by his side, correct?
Yes.
All right. And the taillight would have struck his arm, right?
Yes.
Not his torso.
Yes.
Okay. So
So wait a second. Hold on a second. Pause. If his arm was out like this when he was struck, wouldn't the arm break or have a fracture? I mean, there's a 7,600-pound vehicle impacting a human being. No bruises? No breaks? No fractures? Is he Wolverine? Are his bones made of titanium? And if this was true, how wouldn't the impact cause the arm to kind of come into the body and then he would just fall? How from this? I mean, think about it. Car hits you. Do you just start flying in the air like this? No. Physics, again, momentum, force. The force is going to be applied to the arm. The arm is going to come in, and then you're going to fall. You're not going to fly 30 feet. And if that truly did happen, the back of Karen's SUV would have been completely destroyed. You would have seen, the impact from, it would just be like a little taillight, like, ooh, there you go. There's a nice little taillight. This is going to be another acquittal. And this time it's going to be on all 3 charges. I'm calling it right now. May 9th, 2025. I'm calling it, folks. It's going to be an acquittal on all 3 charges. I can smell it. Because Trooper Paul is locked in. He can't change his testimony now. It was already over in the first trial, but now they're going to get the acquittal on the second charge. And then all of these criminals are going to go to jail. Hopefully. I am praying that they all get caught and go to jail.
the full mass, the full weight of that truck hit him basically at the elbow. Is that right?
No,
Missing his
no.
torso.
Oh, I said it. Yeah, from upper part of the arm
Right,
down.
the
Yeah.
elbow and the biceps.
I didn't see anything that shows an indication that this lower torso was struck, but
Okay. So his torso,
it's not saying it could not have been a possibility, but I just didn't see anything.
so his torso was spared from being hit, but the arm took the brunt, the full force of the vehicle, correct?
Like arm and shoulder, yes.
Okay. And you said he then did a spin, like a sort of a pirouette.
He got spun around possibly the way it struck, it looked like it could have turned around counterclockwise.
Okay. So if he turns around counterclockwise, is he turning around in the air counterclockwise?
Yes, initially.
So he gets hit on the upper biceps, shoulder area, and down to the forearm, right?
Yes.
By an unbroken taillight, right?
Yes.
In other words, it's nice and smooth. Nothing, no shards of plastic or anything broken at the time that it made contact with his arm, right?
Correct.
Okay, so how did his arm get all cut up?
Because when his arm struck the taillight then cracked, and as the car is driving past him, the taillight could scratch it.
Got it. So he gets hit by the car, not his torso, just the arm. The taillight cracks, and as it passes by, his arm stays with it long enough to get striations, those scratches that we see, those lacerations, those abrasions that we see, right?
In a sense, yes.
And at the same time, he does a pirouette and flies 30 feet to his final point.
I don't know if he did a pirouette.
Oh god.
I'm using the word pirouette. He spun around.
He started rotating counterclockwise. I don't know how far he ran counterclockwise, but he started rotating. According to that, would push him to rotate counterclockwise. Whether or not he went counterclockwise all the way to his back toward the ground, it seems like a most likely possibility.
Even the IT guy is like, is this guy for real? He's just kind of, what the hell is this guy smoking? Like, I want some. Oh my god. The level of criminality is unmatched. Don't forget to subscribe.
Did you account for the fact that his arm is on a hinge?
Oh, there
It's
it
what?
is.
Say again?
Did you account for the fact in this scenario that you just told the jurors that his arm is on a hinge?
Hinge. The
On a
elbow.
hinge.
Shoulder?
Okay.
Right? So
It moves.
the arm got hit.
It's not.
Didn't his arm just swing?
I said arm and shoulder area, so his arm could have been considered part of it.
Even if his shoulder got the upper,
Okay.
you're pointing to his upper biceps.
Mhm.
Right? There's no injuries on his shoulder, not a single one, not even a bruise, right?
Like I said, it looked like to me it was from up here. I don't know how far I can up back here, but it was up here.
Well,
So
you're the one that talked about his injuries on his arm.
yes.
That's limited to about mid biceps, to about mid forearm, correct?
Okay.
Right?
Right?
Yes.
It's a
No
question.
injuries on the shoulder, no injuries on the torso, no injuries on the ribs, no injuries on the back, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
So your theory is you got hit on the arm, took the brunt of the force from the taillight on the arm, stayed with the vehicle long enough for the taillight to explode, basically, to shatter. Then these striations get on his arm, these abrasions. Does a pirouette, a spin, counterclockwise, and flies 30 feet in the air to his point of rest.
Yeah. It happened probably a little
Yeah.
faster than that, though.
Wait. Sorry, what?
Yeah. It happened probably a little faster than that, though.
Probably have to go faster than that, though? What does that even mean?
He actually said he hit his head on a curb.
I said that's one of the possibilities of when you look at the roadway as he gets spun around counterclockwise. It's a possibility that the curb is there, any blunt force object on the ground, as the ground is pretty blunt.
Well, except in your scenario that you just told us, he flew through the air onto the light dusting of snow, grass, and dirt.
I didn't say through the air.
Oh, by the way, don't forget, this is before Rock McAlbert joined the fray. There was no Rock McAlbert here. Rock McAlbert joins us in trial number 2.
Say that again.
I didn't say he got thrown through the air.
Okay, I'll use your word. He got projected. Like
Projected doesn't mean it's not incorporating just throw. Projected just means you get pushed forward. There's two parts of that. There's the air, then there's the ground. Like I said earlier, the tumbling, the rolling, whatever that part of the crash would happen. Projecting is just what we call what happens to a pedestrian post-impact with a crash.
Okay, so a couple questions. If his arm, elbow took the brunt of that entire impact, how do you account for the fact that he didn't suffer a broken bone?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Account for the fact that he didn't have a fracture.
Objection.
Sistine.
What? Why?
How do you account for the fact that he didn't even have a bruise on the arm?
Objection.
That's sustained too.
Why?
They were
Why?
Yes.
Wait, why? What the hell kind of objections are these? There is no basis for these objections. These are legitimate questions to an expert witness who understands physiomechanics and kinecinematics because he likes movies and lives in a video game.
May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
The truth is, Trooper Paul, you know, having investigated auto pedestrian accidents in the past, that John O'Keefe's injuries do not look anything like an automobile pedestrian accident, do they?
Yes, they do.
Liar.
Isn't it true, Trooper Paul, you came to these opinions and conclusions because Trooper Proctor told you to come to these opinions and conclusions in furtherance of his investigation?
That is not true.
That's why you have these opinions and conclusions that just don't make sense, correct?
That is not true.
And you're just trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
Action.
Sustained. All right.
That was so beautiful. Let's do the recross real quick.
Very briefly, I just want to make sure I clear something up about the key cycles. You're not suggesting that every key cycle in the history of the car is on this page, correct?
That's correct.
I'm pulling up Exhibit 591.
Okay.
That indicates key cycles that have triggering events, correct?
Yes.
Triggering events are something that the manufacturer includes in basically a list of items that will be a triggering event, correct?
Yes.
It's a list of items basically for mechanics to figure out if there's some unusual driving or unusual event with the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
And by the way, if you've had a triggering event, call us 1-844-774-HURT. An event that triggered you and has led to injuries, physical injuries, not just mental injuries. Those you don't really get money for. Physical injuries, you get money for. We have recovered millions of dollars for our clients when it comes to car accidents, truck accidents, etc. Give us a call, 1-844-774-HURT. Let's get back to the video.
Cycles go in order. They're numerical, 1 through whatever.
Correct.
And the hypothetical that I gave you on cross-examination, with those driving incidents, each one of those would represent a key cycle, correct?
I don't. So, in your hypothetical, I mean, assume that it should create a key cycle, but that you can't just say that key cycle is from that because I didn't just use key cycles. I used the odometer mileage on top of it. So you have to have key cycle and odometer.
Right. Interestingly, though, when you testified on direct examination, you said your analysis, this was on Friday, before the weekend. By the way, over the weekend, did you watch anything on, I don't know, YouTube or any social media?
No.
Nothing.
No.
No. Did you have any conversations with Mr. Lally about these key cycles and problems?
No.
Did you have any conversations with anybody about the issues with the key cycles?
No.
Did you realize at some point between Friday and today that I was probably going to ask you some questions about key cycles?
Objection.
Did you realize that yourself?
I assumed you would ask me loads of information.
So on Friday, you didn't mention that your analysis was based on mileage, did you?
Objection.
Sustained.
On Friday, did you mention that your analysis was predicated on mileage?
Objection.
What?
I'll
Why?
see you at sidebar.
Oh, come on.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Super Paul, on Friday, you indicated pretty clearly that your analysis was based on the key cycles, starting at 1164 when you started your testing, and 1162, which was the key cycle you claimed on Friday was at 34 Fairview.
It wasn't based on it. That's how I describe it. I said key cycles. I based it on they were close within proximity to each other, but I've always said it's key cycles and odometer mileage, plus all the information within the triggers themselves. So it wasn't just one or the other.
And you said
What?
on Friday that once you started your testing at 1164, it was 2 cycles earlier.
Sorry, is it just me, but does this guy just speak in word salad just so that you don't understand what he's saying? Or is it just me? Let me know in the comments below.
That had the triggering events, meaning 1162, that you claimed were at 34 Fairview.
Yes.
But in the hypothetical, if there were 4 events, 4 key cycle events between 1164 and 1159, it could not have occurred at 1162, correct? 34 Fairview, in my hypothetical.
In your hypothetical, if it recorded a key cycle, then your hypothetical is correct.
Right. And last question, if you got the route of travel incorrect, if your presumption of the route of travel was incorrect on that vehicle in the days earlier, then your mileage would be incorrect also, correct?
Yeah.
Mileage from what? The odometer or from
The
Any.
odometer reading.
Doesn't matter.
the odometer reading? Is the odometer reading? It's 36.
My point is, your analysis that's based on the odometer reading,
Yeah.
36 miles here,
Would be
12
faulty.
miles there, 2 miles here, 5 miles there. If you got the route of travel wrong and the route of travel was different, your assumptions about the odometer readings would be incorrect. Is that
Correct.
Correct?
So what I'm
You got the path of travel wrong.
Yes or no?
So I purposely put down a range on my Google Images, showing because I couldn't tell you her definitively route a path for every single way, but I know that it's possibly a possibility that she could travel 36 miles within those locations that she traveled post leaving Fairview Road.
Or if that mileage was put on at key cycle 1162, then that would mean the vehicle would already be in Massachusetts State Police custody, right? Principal Proctor's custody.
Objection.
So that's beyond the scope.
That's all I have.
Wow. I hope you all enjoyed this. This is one of the most fun videos I think I have ever made on my channel. This guy, to call him incompetent is a compliment. He's a criminal. He is a liar, a deceiver, and a criminal and should be put in prison for his assumptions. His lack of knowledge of physics, math, real world events is not staggering. It's absolutely intentionally fabricated. It is made up. He is trying to fit, as Jackson said, a square peg into a round hole. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment below. I cannot wait to continue these series tomorrow. Like I said, we're probably going to start doing more trial number 2 stuff. We have a lot to catch up on. Hannah Knowles, Ryan Nagel, Heather Maxson, and Sarah Levinson. There's going to be one video covering all 4 of those because they're just so short, relatively speaking. Then we're going to dive into Katie McLaughlin and Paul Gallagher. I think I've already done. We kind of did him out of order because he's so interesting. Just so dumb is what he is. We did him earlier today and yesterday. So definitely go check out those videos. And then we're going to do Guarino again. He's back. Guarino's back. Robert Gilman, the meteorologist. Charles Ray, Lieutenant Charles Ray. He's going to talk to us about some stuff. Kevin O'Hara. Jessica Hyde. So Jessica Hyde and Connor O'Keefe talking about the shoe. Jessica Hyde is the digital forensics expert. And Trooper Connor Keefe is the shoe guy. John O'Keefe's shoes. I'm going to cover those tomorrow and Sunday. Those are big, big, big. Very interesting stuff. And then the rest will follow. And of course, all witnesses from Thursday and Friday, May 8th and May 9th, they'll come after. So we're still playing catch up, folks. And I hope you all are enjoying this content. I'm going to keep cranking it out. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everybody.